Okay, our next student speaker is Miss Alexandra Bizzari. To meet or not to meet? That is the question.
Hello everybody, my name is Alexandra Bizzari. A little bit about myself is that I am a senior in high school and I'm getting ready to graduate with 41 credits from PVCC. I plan to attend ASU in the fall, majoring in biomedical sciences. So, to meet or not to meet? That is the question. So essentially today, I will be determining whether or not a meatless diet has a nutritional impact on the human body. Obviously, there are both positives and negatives effects in any decision that we make in life, and eating meat is one of them. Now, there are many classifications of vegetarianism today. However, if someone were to decide to strictly eliminate meat from their diet, then they would be considered a lacto-ovo-vegetarian. And this is the most common type of veganism, as well as the one that I will be focusing on when comparing to meat or not to meat. So, without further ado, what's the point? Like I said before, the decision of removing meat from one's diet entails both pros and cons. And the variables that cause these pros and cons include whether or not you're getting a digestible protein intake, consuming enough B12 vitamins, as well as maintaining a proper nitrogen balance. So the benefits of eating meat, you get your iron, you get your vitamins, you get your protein, your essential amino acids, as well as it being very digestible. And the risks that come into play with that is whether or not you eat meat in moderation. So if you eat too much, then bone loss can occur. You can also eat infected meat, depending on if it's cooked properly and where you get it. Now, not eating meat, people typically decide to not eat meat for religious reasons, whether or not their religion prohibits or restricts their diet in that area. There's also ethical reasons for this. Some people just believe that it's inhumane to eat animals, and how the meat industry now treats their animals. And then lastly, food safety reasons is another reason for why people decide to become vegetarian, just to avoid the risk of eating infected meat and so on. However, the risks of not eating meat and you don't substitute it properly can result in bone loss as well as vitamin B12 deficiencies, and this can cause cognitive deficiencies as well, physical, your muscle tissues will be weaker essentially, as well as you not getting enough nitrogen in your body. So if I were to ask the average adult what the purpose of eating meat is for our bodies, their response would most likely contain the word protein in it. And that is because meat is a valuable protein source for our bodily functions. Proteins are macronutrients necessary to fulfill everyday activities in the human body. And macronutrients, which are your fats, your carbohydrates, and your proteins, are important because they are needed to create enough energy to continue the functions that occur within our bodies. Each protein molecule consists of chains of amino acids that twist and fold into functional domains. These functional domains are programmed to have a specific job. So for instance, certain proteins act as enzymes. Now, an enzyme can be defined as a catalyst that acts to bind substances together or break them apart, and transform one substance into another. So enzymes essentially help lower activation energy and allow substances to react and do its job, whether it be to make adenosine triphosphate, or ATP for short, as a source of energy, or fuel chemical reactions occurring in our body. So as you can see, meat is valuable compared to other protein sources because it is the only source that contains nitrogen and all the essential amino acids, making it a complete protein. Nitrogen comes into play because your body needs it in order to form the proteins that make up your major tissues, your blood, and your DNA. Nitrogen is one of 4 major elements in the human body and is essential for humans to function because it is abundantly needed in the tissues of your body. These tissues include your skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscles. Nitrogen is key to the production of proteins and amino acids because this is what allows our tissues to function properly. Your metabolic processes also depend upon enzymes, all of which contain or consist of various kinds of proteins as well. The nitrogen and amino acids consumed through meat or other protein sources allow our bodies to synthesize or create other proteins for various functions. For example, nucleic acid, DNA, which makes up your genes, and RNA, which is involved in protein synthesis, all contain nitrogen. Cells, the very thing that humans are made up of, require nitrogen for normal growth, cell replacement, and tissue repair. Nitrogen is also a component of producing energy when amino acids are broken down. And because different types of meat contain valuable sources of nitrogen, it is important for individuals who do and do not consume meat to make sure that they have a proper nitrogen balance as well. Because if it's positive, then you will have muscle growth. If it's at an equilibrium, then you'll remain the same. And if it's negative, then your muscles will begin to deteriorate. So people go the extra mile ensuring their car engines are maintained and run most efficiently with premium gas. Let's just say you have a Ferrari, for instance. And so why wouldn't you do the same for your body and the things that you eat? Like I said before, proteins are chains of amino acids, and digestibility is how efficiently our bodies can digest and absorb a protein. And the number of amino acids a protein holds will affect its protein quality. So you want a good quality source of protein, or premium gas, in order to maintain and carry out appropriate bodily functions. People who choose to not eat meat will have to be more cautious on what they are substituting their protein with, making sure that their source has a high digestibility and maintains the adequate intake or the level that you're supposed to be eating. So legumes and soy are great substitutes for this if you are vegan. They have a high content of amino acids, making it a high digestibility. But all in all, the higher the digestibility, the more absorption of nutrients your body will make, allowing a greater benefit to your health. So preventing vitamin deficiencies are equally as important as maintaining protein and nitrogen levels when eliminating meat from your diet. Vegetarians are at a high risk for vitamin B12 deficiencies, also known as cobalamin, specifically. In order to understand why B vitamins are important, you need to know what a coenzyme does. And essentially, coenzymes are molecules that combine with an enzyme to activate it and help it do its job. So this is relevant because the B vitamins act as coenzymes, helping the body access the energy in the food we eat. And more specifically, B vitamins are water soluble, allowing the vitamin to get absorbed through the intestinal wall and go directly into our bloodstream. From there, they travel to the needed cells and do whatever they need to do. But because our kidneys act as a filter, our body cannot store large amounts of water soluble vitamins. So this means that humans have to consume an adequate amount of B vitamins on a daily or weekly basis. Individuals who are not vegetarian happen to have a valuable source of vitamin B12, and that is found in meats, fish, poultry, and dairy products. Vitamin B12 is an energy generator as well as a blood booster, and what this means is that cobalamin helps convert food into energy as well as optimizes blood health, respectively. In addition to assisting with the formation of blood, it is also required for a healthy functioning nervous system. The nervous system is one of the most important systems our body has, at least in my opinion, because the importance resides in the fact that it is the commander-in-chief of our voluntary and involuntary muscles. If one has an insufficient amount of vitamin B12, then numerous cognitive and physical complications can result fairly quickly. This happens because cobalamin specifically acts to maintain the sheath that coats nerve fibers, and if the sheath is damaged or absent, this can cause the nerves to fire at inappropriate times. And if your nerves are not working in unison as they should, then these negative side effects will occur. Another risk that increases if one does not have adequate levels of vitamin B12 is heart disease or stroke. So as you guys can see, meat carries an essential vitamin that humans cannot live without. Cobalamin needs to be consumed regularly in order to avoid diminished energy, shortness of breath, vascular diseases, and neurological deficiencies. One who chooses a meatless diet will not need the appropriate level of vitamin B12 intake unless it is consumed through byproducts, fortified cereals, vitamin B12 supplements, or vitamin B12 injections. And this all varies depending on how strict one's vegetarian diet is made, because there are almost as many diets as there are people in the world now. So, in conclusion, both sides are kind of correct. It truly comes down to personal opinion. However, scientifically speaking, eating meat is more efficient source of protein because of its digestibility. Rather than taking the extra steps to consume alternative substitutes, eating meat is beneficial if retrieved, cooked, and consumed properly. Individuals who do eat meat need to know more about where their meat is coming from and what that entails. So taking the time to research particular industries that show up in your local market and so on. I also recommend limiting the consumption of red meat while consuming more lean meats, just because the reason being lean meat has a lower saturated fat content and therefore a lower cholesterol level. This will lower the risk of heart disease, bone loss, and kidney disease for people who are meat eaters. On the other hand, being vegan is also beneficial if done with precision. Vegetarians commit more time and energy in order to ensure they are consuming a proper, healthy diet. Just like a simple algebraic equation, what is done to one side has to be done to the other. Meaning, if vegetarians rearrange or rewrite the equation while still holding the original equation to be true, then there's nothing wrong with their decided path. The outcome will remain the same. To meat or not to meat is a personal choice. However, it is important to note that too much or too little of such nutrients can and will become detrimental to one's own bodily functions. Are there any questions? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Of all the meats, which would you say is the healthiest? I would say, like I said in my conclusion, eating more lean meat, which is chicken and just different parts of the cow that you eat. It's less fat. There's not as much fat in the meat itself, so that means it's lower cholesterol levels, allowing it to just be healthier for you. So lean meats is where to go if you're a meat eater. Anything else? No? Okay, thank you.